guys. This is Aya of Shapely Events, and I don't want to say this is a special series because there's really nothing special or should be nothing special about a death of another unarmed black man in America. There's been a sense of, not even a sense of, there's been outrage. There's so many emotions that people like me and people who look like me are dealing with, and people have different forms of expression, of protest, of whatever it is they deem to feel be just. I After a series of questions, conversations, and things of that nature, I thought I would use my platform to take a minute to educate. One of the things that I found, and I myself was deeply disturbed by, was the the lack of acknowledgement from business owners, companies, and like companies within the plus size community and companies period, but just a lack of acknowledgement when our money is just as green as anybody else's. After expressing myself on a series of mediums, the conversation became, I want to say something, I just don't know what to say. I want to say something, I don't know if it's my place. I want to say something, but in this whole time, myself and people who look like me are crying out for some sort of something, acknowledgement, a kind word, something. So in that, I'm taking the time to educate in a series, and this one is going to be for business owners, companies, whatever. Shapely serves as a B2B resource, and I would like to use my platform to be that resource. So here we go. Okay, so this is in order of thought, not necessarily in order of importance or in order of how one should act. We are coming to an understanding that you, meaning people who don't look like us, most specifically white people, don't know what to say. Say that. Don't just not say anything. People are waiting, people are watching, people are reading the comments, and we see you posting things about everyday life. We see you posting things about your company. We see your sponsored ads, but we see nothing about what's going on. So even if you're taking some time to formulate what you would like to say that. Put out something that says, give us time, or something along that manner. Most people have a PR person, marketing person, whatever the case may be. Say something. But when you don't say anything and it's 4 or 5 days later, and then you post this spiel or this meme or this graphic or whatever it is you're using to convey that you stand with us, it seems very much so like you're jumping on the bandwagon. It doesn't seem genuine because it took you that long. Acknowledge. Okay. Not just the unrest, but acknowledge that there's something going on that led to that unrest, right? So we're not just gonna, in this situation, we're not just going to acknowledge or speak out on the protesting, the rioting, the looting, but we're also gonna speak on what led to that, because people just didn't wake up one fine day and decide to cause all this destruction or protest and take to the streets. Something happened, right? An example of that, which I saw, and it was disturbing to me, because it was disturbing to a lot of people that look like me, because it was, how dare you shun people for how they're responding without acknowledging what led to their response. So it could be something along I'm outraged, or we're outraged at what's going on, or the looting or whatever. It should be, I'm outraged that a black man lost his life senselessly, which led to the looting and the rioting and whatever the case may be. We have to acknowledge what that root is, because it feels like you're shaking your finger at us and not acknowledging or shaking your finger at the very thing that caused us to feel like that. Acknowledgement is key. For the people who sell and the companies who sell merchandise, don't just show us your coupon codes and have a merry day. Don't just switch up your models with more ethnic models and ethnic bodies and call it a day. Acknowledge why that is. If you normally don't use this type of person, I should say, or category of model in your ads, and now all of a sudden we're faced with this plastered everywhere, we know why. And it goes back to the acknowledgement. You're doing this because you want to fit in or feel like one with us, but you're not acknowledging the reason why you're doing this. So if you've been using a predominantly white audience, and now that all this unrest is going on, you're gonna throw in more ethnic people without saying, hey, or acknowledging this, we know, and we find it very insensitive, and quite frankly, we're offended because we feel like our intelligence is insulted. So don't just throw your little coupon codes and go your merry way. Don't just switch up the face of the model you use and go along your merry way. Acknowledge why that is. Don't just donate now and that's it. It's forgotten about. Because there's a lot of things that we cannot forget about. Do donate and make this be an ongoing effort, right? Incorporate our cultural sensitivities into your corporate culture. Make rendering aid something that's ongoing, and a level of aid doesn't always have to be monetary, right? So you can donate now and render aid in the future by being more sensitive towards your company's employees that look like me, or putting certain things in place to where people don't feel alone and they know that the company stands with them. Have outreach, have a list of resources for people. We're no longer in the days where throwing money at a situation is enough. Okay, this has to be ingrained into the fiber of your company, the fiber of what it is you promote, the fiber of your institution. So aid shouldn't be a temporary thing, especially if you have employees of color. So I'm not going to say don't donate, do, however, have this be a continuous conversation, a continuous act. And again, all donations, all levels of rendering aid doesn't have to be monetary. Educate yourself, even if that's through us. I took the time and the platform to educate you. What are you going to do with this information, right? Ask us. Ask your employees that look like me and identify with me. Ask us how to speak to us. What tone is most receptive? What not to do? Because ignorance is more than bliss. Ignorance is offensive. So you may think you're saying something that's catchy that you saw on the internet, or you might want to put this into policy, but if the seats at your table don't have people who look like me, you're still tone deaf. You may have all the best intentions, and I'm giving a company the benefit of the doubt when I say the best intentions. However, touch base with us. Ask us what it is we want from you, what it is you need, how to communicate better with us. So I've had people come to me and say, I want to say this, but I don't know if it will hit right, or I don't know if it will be received properly. And some people were spot on, and I was like, yeah, this is fine, from my perspective. However, I was like, some things it was like not gonna work. And you could say the wrong thing and you'll be a part of cancel culture. So don't be, in the words of Beanie Man, do you want to be that guy? you know? So educate yourself. Ask us. We know. We're the people, you know? Okay. Diversity and inclusion should be ongoing. It shouldn't be that because another unarmed person of color, black man, black woman, whatever, died, that we're seeing all these faces that look like us. It shouldn't be a shock to us to see because it should be something that's ongoing. Mix it up. We're a melting pot. Mix it up. Diversity and inclusion should be ongoing. And as consumers, we're more susceptible to subscribe to your brand or to buy what it is you're selling if we see ourselves in it or we see ourselves as part of your culture. Okay? So it will benefit you guys to add more of that to the mix. And this goes whether you're a company of 1,000 or 10, all right? Be as inclusive as possible. I know at Shapely we do the same thing. We mix it up as much as possible. And that's from a size perspective and a cultural perspective. So mix it up. Diversity and inclusion shouldn't only happen when tragedy happens. This one is key, you know. Be sensitive to our emotional issues. When we walk in the door, when we turn on our computers, when we answer that phone, sometimes we have the weight of the world on our shoulders. However, we come to work, we come to your events, we buy your products, and we leave that at the door for that split second. However, that weight doesn't go anywhere. There might be a time where you think we're just a little aggy, you think we're emotional, you think we're having an outburst out of nowhere. You and some people don't live in our world. It is tough. Be a support. As a company, as a brand, as a host, be a support to the people who spend their dollar with you, okay? Does your company have EAP? What resources are available? Some people just may need a day or 2 or 3 off. Some people just may need I understand you. Be a support. Do not be part of the problem. Do not be an added weight. If I'm having a hard day, there are some who look forward to going to work. It's an escape. And that leads to productivity. That looks to an increase in consumer spending. That leads to a bigger turnout at events. Be a support to the community you serve. And whether that community is 1 person, 100 people, 1,000 people, be a support. Do not be an added weight. It is not good for business. For those who took a while to say something, for those companies, I've seen you guys get called out. I've seen people express their level of disgust and their level of anger, and it was then that you made a notification on your website or you sent out that email or whatever. We can't ask you to sympathize with us. Sympathize with us. Empathize with us. You know, we're part of your demographic. We're part of your staff. We are part. That's it. Last but not least, that I could think of for now anyway, and I want you to absorb this. We can be pro-us without being anti-you. I'm going to say that again. We can be pro-us without being anti-you. We can express our love for our culture, our love for our food, our love for our hair without disliking yours. Our love for ourselves shouldn't threaten who you feel as who or what you feel as a corporation, as an entity, as a person. You love yourself, you love your native dishes, you love your food. We can be pro us without being anti you. However, I do want to say this. We cannot be pro us without being anti racism. We cannot be pro us without being anti racism. And if that's you, then so be it. Please absorb everything I've said. Please find ways to which you can implement or improve upon your practices as is. And I hope you found this useful. Talk to us. We're people. We're part of your company. We're part of the world. With that said, may the George Floyds of the world rest in peace. May the Ahmauds rest in peace. May the Trayvons rest in peace. May everybody who was a victim, please take what was outlined today and make it part of your corporate culture. Self-educate, educate your employees, educate your independent contractors, educate people you do business with. If the people you do business with are not part of your company, but foster a negative environment for me and people that look like me, don't do business with them. Speak up, speak out. Speak up, speak out. And if you have that privilege, use your privilege to put an end to racism. Thank you.